So what do you think the main takeaway from yesterday's press conference was for you? Good morning.
Morning, Manis. Well, as you say, yesterday, Saudi Aramco formally announced the intention to float. This is what everything's been building up to for the last few years. So the train has left the station now, I guess. What was interesting that came out of yesterday is that there's still a lot of questions that are unanswered. All we really know is that there's going to be a listing on the Tadawul, the Saudi stock exchange. So the international listing that had been talked about isn't on the cards immediately. We still have a lot of unanswered questions, though. There's no sign of how big a stake in the company the Saudi government plans to float. There's no real clear clarity around the valuation, as you say. The government is now not talking about what sort of valuation it hopes to achieve. We don't really have any firm dates on the timeline beyond the fact that we're expecting to see the prospectus coming out on the 9th or 10th of November. So yeah, investors have still got a lot of things that the questions they're going to be asking around this offering and how big this stake is going to be and the valuation.
Matthew, one of my favorite themes at the moment is not just valuation gap on the Aramco story, but credibility gap to the bankers that put out notes valuing the company between 1.6 and 2.3. That's Goldman's. Bank of America, $1 trillion gap in valuation. Does it make a laughing stock of research, or is it just pretty darn hard to value the company?
Well, I think there's a lot of factors at play in here. I mean, on the one hand, you know, the government and Mohammed bin Salman has been very clear in the ambitions for getting this company to reach 2 trillion. So there's obviously a lot of pressure on the banks to get the valuation up as high as possible. If you look at all of the changes that have happened around the company recently in terms of the tax and royalty rates and the dividend policy, that's all geared towards making this attractive and boosting that valuation. But at the same time, you've got a lot of other factors at play which are going to pull the valuation down. Oil is out of favor among investors now. The transition away from oil has begun. So the appetite for investing in a massive oil company is probably more muted than it would have been a few years ago.